Welcome! Are you curious to see what kind of apartment you can expect in Hong Kong for $2,700 US? Well, let me show you around our 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment located in Tseung Kwan O. Let's start with the entrance. Well, unfortunately, the entrance doesn't have a closet. Actually, the whole apartment doesn't have a single closet. However, we do have a little furniture to put our shoes, right here. Now, the dining area is also a little bit small, and that's why we decided to push the table against the wall, so we can have a little bit more area to circulate. As for the living room, there is one very important piece of equipment I want to show you, and it is right here. The humble dehumidifier. One thing to know about Hong Kong is that it is extremely humid, especially during the spring and the summer. I guarantee you that if you don't have a dehumidifier, your apartment is going to get nasty. You're going to get weird smells, condensation around your windows, your walls, and eventually, the worst of all, you're going to have mold everywhere. During the winters, it can get a little bit cold, which is why we bought 2 little heater units that we can plug in the wall. During the winter, it can go down to about 5 Celsius, which is, I don't know, 40 Fahrenheit maybe. So yeah, those heater units are also very useful, although we don't use them very often. In Hong Kong, it is very typical to dry the clothes outside. However, our apartment is too fancy for that. So since we don't have a balcony or any ways to hang our clothes outside, there is a pole to dry the clothes inside. And that's what we used to do at the beginning when we moved in. However, after a while, we got tired of blocking the view, and also it was making the apartment even more humid during the summer. So we started to do something else. We started to dry our clothes in the washer. But Gabriel, how can you dry the clothes in the washer? Well, this is a special kind of washer. It does both. It washes and it dries. However, it is very small, so you need to do a load almost every day. As for the regular kitchen stuff, well, again, everything is a little bit smaller. For instance, contrary to Canada or the US, where having 4 elements on the stove is standard, here you only have 2. Many people have gas, we have induction. But the one thing that I really miss from Canada in this apartment is an oven. That's right. Hong Kong apartments very rarely have ovens, unless you have a very fancy place, which we don't. So what we did instead is we bought an air fryer, which is not quite the same thing as an oven, but it replaces the oven for many uses. But the oven is not the only thing missing. The other luxury that I miss is a dishwasher, because again, that's not really something that people do here. Hong Kong water is safe to drink, contrary to the mainland. However, my wife thought that it had a little bit of a taste, so with this water filter that is connected directly on the faucet, all you have to do is to turn the water on and then push this little lever, and you have some delicious fresh water. This thing here is the control for the water heater. Contrary to Canada or the US, where most people use a big water tank, here the water is heated as you need it, so it's kind of neat actually. The fridge is also much smaller than what we had in Canada. Of course, since my wife is Chinese, we have a rice cooker and a kettle. Now, let's have a look at the bathroom. The bathroom, which is, of course, very small. By the way, when I say small, I'm comparing to Canada or the US. By Hong Kong standard, this is a little bit bigger than average. It's a very comfortable apartment. So, the bathroom. Everything you would expect in a bathroom: a shower, a toilet, faucet. The only fun fact I have for you here is that the toilets here don't use fresh water. That's right. Toilets here, or almost all the toilets, use water from the sea because we're very close to the sea and that fresh water is very precious. Now you know. Time to look at the bedrooms. This is the master bedroom. It is, of course, the biggest. We were able to squeeze a queen-size bed here. And since it didn't come with a closet, we bought this furniture from IKEA. We even have a little office space. But this is no ordinary bed because it has some drawers on the side for extra storage. It has more storage on the other side that is a little bit more difficult to access. First step, you remove everything on the bed. Second step, you move the mattress. We have the seahorse mattress, which is very popular in Hong Kong. And then you move this wooden panel here. And then you have access to all your stuff. Of course, we also want to save as much space as possible in the kids' bedroom. That's why we put a bed at the top, an office at the bottom, a little closet, some drawers, and an extra furniture for more storage. And there's even a bit of storage space above the door for some toys that we try to rotate. And finally, this is the guest bedroom, which has a very similar setup than the master bedroom. Closet from IKEA, bed frame with the drawers and the storage in the back. And that's it. Thank you for watching the video until the end. If you find this type of video interesting, please subscribe to get more in the future. I appreciate you all, and thank you. Bye-bye.